Hi everyone, it's me Helene here, Cabin Fever Crochet. Thank you for joining. Come on in, take a seat. I've got a lot of fun stuff to show you, my hats, and I'm so excited to present my crochet wire-free, stabilizer-free brimmed sun hat. And actually you can wear this hat in a few different ways. It has substance to it, but it's relatively lightweight, got a lot of air circulation going on with the construction. But the way that I designed it is that the brim stays up really well, with a lot of movement. You can wear it like this with the brim up, and the border that I put on looks really good, in my opinion, either way, where it's more flat and you can see more of a shell stitch definition, or have it turned up where it creates a bit of a puff or popcorny type appearance, but without having to do one. It's just the nature of the stitches, how they come together. So I'm going to get into all that in the tutorial. I would like to say, I've just started doing tutorials not that long ago, and it's taken me a little time, just kind of work things out here and there. And this one I'm really happy with because it flows along pretty well. I give you a lot of good information, but not so much where it just drags on and on and on. And hopefully I don't over explain this one either, and you'll enjoy making it. It's a fun hat. It's very versatile. So again, you can wear it up. You can just gently tap the sides down, and you have just a semi floppy hat, a little more sun coverage if you like to sit outside and read. You get that good peripheral sun coverage there. And then also, if you watched my last video, episode 29, where I did a yarn review and then went over this hat just briefly, I showed that you can even wear it with just the brim slightly down and then the rest of the hat up, and that's my personal favorite way. I like the look of it on me, and then also a little bit more shielding that sun out of my eyes. But so you get the look. You get to see both sides of the brim and just 3 different ways to wear it. So in this video, I'm going to go over a few of the different hats, yarn options, and so show you some different combinations that you can do, and also my personal favorite yarn of choice for this hat and why. But you may not have access to it or may not care for it, I don't know, but that way with different options that you can either go to your local yarn shop or something that you might have at home. Okay, so let's get started here. First up, I kind of want to show you the progression of how this got started. I love hats, I always have. This one that you've seen me wear in previous videos, this was done with the Caron cotton cakes, the same yarn that I made with the bucket hats. Now it's interesting, different yarns can act differently for different projects, and different stitches too. So this was the first one I made. I really enjoy it. It's super lightweight, but the brim doesn't really stay up all that well. It does to a degree if I'm not moving around a whole lot, or as with right now, the wind is picking up, then the sides will, one or the other or both might start to work its way down. But interestingly enough, with this yarn, the Caron cotton cakes, which is exclusive to Michael's anyway, but it was great for that bucket hat. Because of the nature of the stitches, it was soft, it gave that terrific shape for the bucket shape that I wanted, and it was a little bit structured enough, yet had that softness to give that nice kind of a floppy-ish curve, not overly floppy, but just enough to create that curve on it. But yet it just does not work well, this yarn, for this type of hat. There's just not enough substance, not enough structure. It's classified on the yarn band as a number 4 weight, but to me it's more of a lighter weight number 4, and it just didn't have quite enough to it on its own. And I know that because I suspected it, and also because of this hat, but I redesigned this completely. I wanted to keep a shell stitch pattern, but have it less gaping open as it graduated down towards the head portion, and I wanted more of a band. And this is all single crochet, the brim, and it just takes so long. It's very hard on the hands when you're going down a couple sizes for the yarn to get that tightness that you need to maintain its shape. And I personally, I just don't have the patience for doing row after row after row after row of just pure single crochet. So I redesigned it a little bit differently. And my first hat I worked up again in the Caron Cotton Cakes. This is the Calico Flowers. And even though it's a completely different design, different stitch for the brim, it worked up. It just doesn't have any more structure. In fact, even a little bit less. Probably because I didn't do single crochet. If I were to do it again in this yarn, I would, and if that's what you want to try, go for it, but I definitely recommend you go down 2 hook sizes at least and work them tight. But keep in mind then your brim is going to be smaller. You're not going to have the same width. Alright, so I'm going to try this on and give you a little example. Okay, so you see, looks pretty cute until you move. And I kind of feel like the Scarecrow in the Wizard of Oz. And you know, if you like floppy hats, that's great. A lot of people do, and I think they're really cute, just not on me personally. And but they look terrific on some people, and I do make them and they sell, so that's wonderful. Right? But just not so much on me. It just gets in my face, and I'm always like kind of doing things, so I need to have all my vision without it being impaired with that something in my eyes. But yeah, anyway, so this just shows you that no, it doesn't keep that structure. But if you want a floppy hat and want to use this pattern for one, well, there you go. All right, so onward to a couple of my others. Oh, and I guess I might as well just tell you about the yarn as I go along. All right, this is Cascade Avalon yarn, 50/50 cotton acrylic, which brings me to, when you're choosing a yarn, I highly suggest and recommend minimum 50% cotton content. And there are a lot of different yarns to choose from, and go with just a really kind of straight up number 4 weight, but not a heavily worsted weight either. It's going to be too heavy, too thick, too bulky. And depending on the type of cotton, if it's a soft, like a combed cotton, there's not going to be enough texture and structure for it. And if it's dishcloth type of cotton, it's going to be too thick, too heavy, too bulky. It's going to weight the hat down, and your brim will not stay up. Okay, because I've experimented with different yarns, different stitches to get the right shape of the head portion, and you know, the brim, everything to work together, and kind of what I had in my mind. Now, I just discovered the Avalon recently, a little while back, and I absolutely love it. It has more of that cottony feel to me. And depending on the project, you know, some cottons can have a bit more of that string-like effect, but for this type of hat, that's a good thing because it gives you that density and texture that you need to make this work. And to me, this is the perfect blend of the two, and the acrylic helps from it becoming stretched out, but the cotton keeps it breathable at the same time. And this particular yarn has a chainette construction, and It really doesn't have much in the way of a halo to it at all, and for me it's just perfect yarn for this, and also it's great for bags as well. A cotton linen blend would be good. Also, there are a lot of different blends out there, but for a warm weather hat, try to stay as natural fiber as you can as possible. I don't recommend bamboo because it has a lot of slip and it's really soft, unless it's a finer weight and you combine it with another yarn that has some texture and grip to it. That's what you're going to need. And for the cinch tie, I used a discontinued, I think it's discontinued, maybe it's just certain colors, but it's the Cascade Sunseeker yarn. It's a number 3, so I put 2 strands together for the cinch tie, and then I just used one strand of it with a 4mm G hook, and I just went a little bit loosely, not loose sloppy because I wanted that stitch definition, but that really worked for the finishing border on the brim, and it also helped give, because it's a thinner yarn than the rest, it helped give a little bit of tightness to it to help keep that brim up, but not so much that it shrunk that brim portion in. But 2 strands together, number 3, way too thick, bulky, too much, too heavy. You won't be happy with the hat. So this Avalon yarn used to be available in a lot of the online shops. I don't know if they're discontinuing from their warehouse. I do know, altogether, I do know that some of the colors have been discontinued, and I had a really hard time finding it. So I did a massive search, and the only place I could really find more colors and ones that I was looking for was either on Etsy or eBay. And I'm pretty particular about smells, and I want yarn to smell like yarn should, not musty, no one's perfume on it, that kind of thing. So I found a wonderful shop on Etsy. I'm going to give you, show her card in a second, I'm going to tell you a little bit, and then give all the information in my description box and in my comment section with links. And I'm not affiliated with her whatsoever, just as a really, really happy customer, I will say. So this color, if you're curious, is called Georgia Peach. Georgia Peach, that's right, I said it. I, believe it or not, used to have a very thick southern accent. That's right, I sure did, y'all. And I just like saying Georgia. But coming out west, my family relocated when I was 13. All that went away pretty quickly as far as my accent goes. But, oh yeah, it was there. Okay, so that's that one, and that was my second hat in this new and improved version. And then if you watched my episode 29 that I just did, then you will have seen you saw me wear this hat. And just to give you some other options as far as what you can use to get that similar texture for this shape. So I had this Ice Yarns, just to show you, it was on their summer sale, just to let you know, this is a number 3 weight and compresses down. And so to get more of that substance that I needed on this one, first I tried combining a number 3 crochet thread. Now don't confuse the number 3 crochet thread with the number 3 yarn weight. They are 2 completely different things. But those 2 combined were too thick. It is just amazing that a number 3 thread, for example, just didn't seem much thicker than this Lion Brand Summer Nights. But looking at them, side by side, I can see there's a bit of a difference, and it was enough to just be too much. So I use this for something else to combine. So if you have a number 3 thread around, or you have it accessible, it's, you know, inexpensive. So when I was at Walmart recently, I looked in their yarn section and I saw, aha, they had the Summer Nights yarn in a few different colors, and I liked how it worked up so much that I am going to go back and get a different one, because I have more of the Sun Seeker yarn, which does have some very, very subtle sparkle in it, and as a number 3 I'm going to combine a similar colorway to that yarn and see how that works up. But this is a very, very fine number 1 weight, 3.5 ounce on this particular skein, 437 yards, so there is a lot to go around, and I can easily get another hat. And what I did was I combined a number 3 weight with a super fine number 1, so that's another option for you. You could do that, and created this effect, and this didn't change my colorway at all. They were so similar, it just blended together and gave a great texture, and it even softened up this yarn. This yarn softened up this yarn a little, because this is mostly acrylic. It's 82 and 18 poly, which I'm guessing is probably the metallic in it, which probably not showing up that well. So there's an option for you, and I'm going to put this hat back on because I think it's probably a little more neutral, and when I'm showing you other hats, and it goes with my outfit better. Alright, so now as far as another combination goes, the Red Heart Croquette, which is also a super fine number 1. In this little pancake here, you get a ton of yarn. It's 1.5 ounces, 45 grams, 239 yards. Well, maybe not a ton, but quite a bit for just a small amount. And I also believe this would be great combined with a number 3 weight. And say, for example, you know, as long as it's not a real thin, a number 3 worsted, that would work well. And this would be a good equivalent is Lion Brand 24/7 yarn. It's available in the US. I don't know about maybe your Joann or your local yarn shop, but they are available online. Love Crafts has it as well, so in the UK too. And this is the color ecru, but it, you know, ecru tends to have lean a little to the pale yellow-ish side. So I am going to combine the Red Heart Croquette with the 24/7, which is 100% mercerized cotton, by the way. And without going into all the detail of the mercerized, it goes through a special process that gives it strength, resiliency, and a bit of a sheen, and it doesn't compress down real flat. This is also a chainette construction, so it has good stitch definition, and it keeps its strength, it keeps its shape and strength as well too, and it doesn't fuzz or pill or halo. And in my opinion, this is good for certain hats and bags as well, but it definitely has that string-like effect. And the croquette yarn has subtle sparkle, shimmer, metallic as well, and it's mostly cotton, so I think that's going to work together with this, aside from, you know, the metallic. And the metallic in it, to me, looks a little like platinum. It's not really silver, it's not really gold. You turn it, if I turn it one way, it looks more silver, another way it looks more golden. So I thought this color is light enough, neutral enough, where if the variation, color changes and shades are going to show up, it would in something like this, but at least the yellowish tone here is going to bring out more of the golden in this hat. That's what I'm hoping for. But mostly I wanted to show you that this, even though it says it's a number 4, to me it's more of a number 3 weight, so get yourself a number 1 real fine weight. This luscious hat. Oh, I don't know. Tell me what you think. I'd love to know, out of all of these, I'm going to show you one more. Which is your favorite? Which one do you like the best? Okay, this is a combination. I just love these colors. To me, they're happy, but they're kind of soothing at the same time. You know, it's just summer and sun and ice cream, sherbet, you know, all those fun kinds of things. So for the body of the head portion, I combined 2 yarns again. This is Premier Cotton Fair, and I'm sorry I lost the ball band, but the colors in this one, orange, pink, the pink goes into a little hint of little purple here and there, and then there's aqua blue, lime green, and yellow. Okay, a little bit of this goes a long way, but here's the ball band on another color in Americana. I think it is, yeah, it's actually called America. This is a number 2 weight, and you get 317 yards in a 3.5 ounce ball. I combined this yarn with the number 3 crochet cotton thread in yellow, and they worked up really well. But the only thing I could tell is that it was just a little bit thicker. It did really not change the overall, hey Tosh, construction of the hat. It actually made this portion a little bit bigger, the head portion, which isn't really a bad thing because you're going to graduate down, make the band tighter anyway, and if you want, you can put in that optional self-cinch tie, which is a separate video. Alright, that's 28A and B, I think. It's just sorry if I didn't have that before me, but it's the self-cinch tie video that I did. And there, I'm not going to go into detail in the video for this hat, but if you want more information, I give you a lot of different tips and a few different techniques of weaving it in, and lots of different choices for materials that you can use for this, because you don't have to use the same yarn as the hat itself. Well, before all that excitement, I didn't know who it was. It was our neighbors. They came over for a few, but without knowing, the dogs were out here and rushing towards the vehicle. I didn't want any issues with if it was a stranger, or even the dogs maybe getting under the tires, or, you know, something absolutely horrid like that. Okay, so back to this hat, and then one more and done. So on the band, I use Cascade Avalon yarn in beautiful, yummy, yummy aqua color, number 16. And I don't know the number of this color, but I do know it's also called Mellow Yellow, and this is a pink I've had, I don't know. But I only have one tank of it, and I use it very sparingly. But worked out real well, because I could tell that this was just going to be a bit much and heavy for the rest of the hat. And mixing, you know, mixing different fibers works too, as long as they are similar texture and thickness and gauge. And on this one I put a bow. I use t-shirt yarn, and it's a woven type of yarn, flat, and a pretty ceramic bead, white with pink roses on it. And the last hat is, and I'm going to give you the info again. This is done in all the Cascade Avalon, which I really, really do like a lot for this hat. And for the cinch tie, I use the Brimmed Maker Home. And this is variegated. I don't know if the variegateds are still available. Now I know that Nancy Zimmer, who where I purchased this yarn from, she is the Crafting Closet. She's in Wilmington, Massachusetts, and I have to say, Nancy, if you're watching, is great experience, above and beyond customer service, wonderful, great communication, fast shipping, packed nicely, and just everything. And she has her own standalone shop, The Crafting Closet, so she has a storefront and she has a shop on Etsy. So I'm going to leave the links below as mentioned. You can see it and want to jot that down. Sorry for the jiggle, I'm just standing at a weird angle. So yeah, she's terrific. She has a really good color swatch on her Etsy shop where you can go online, look at all the different colors, and then her drop down box, it shows you what she has available. But I don't know how often she places orders with Cascade, but whenever she replenishes her stock, if there are certain colors that you would like, she might be able to get them in. And this just goes to show that the Cascade Avalon yarn, that there are really nice yarns out there available that aren't over the top expensive. And this yarn, they come in hanks, okay, and depending on where you get them, they can be $6 to $6.75 per. And hers, this was $6.25, and the variegated $6.75, and she always ships the least expensive way unless you want it, you know, priority or anything like that. This is color 315, and these just beautiful blues and neutral. And this is kind of a basic beige. I needed a neutral color. That's 05. And then in the center for the band, this is the color Heather, and it's color number 20. But if you order some from her, save me some, will ya? I only bought one. I love this color so much. And her colors online are really quite true to what they are in person. This one just had a little more kind of depth of color to it, but it's really still just soft and beautiful. I could see a whole hat made out of that. And then I piped it with the border. The color is tannin, but I do not recall the color number. I apologize. But it's really the only one like it. And then the color options, I think, go pretty much into a dark brown. Okay, so there are all the yarns. And, you know, even though, okay, just the hat itself without the self-cinch tie weighs just about 4 ounces, or just a little under 3.9 ounces. And these hanks come in 3.5 ounces, 175 yards per. So you will need to get 2 of them, or whatever other type of yarn that you choose. I'm just giving you just an approximate, an average of the yarn that you might use up, okay? And if you get 3 hanks, then you would have more than enough to make 2 full hats. And so, you know, you could mix and match like I did, and use one for a border, and then on one hat, and for the band as well, and then on the next hat just reverse. And so that should give you plenty. Alright, well, at least now you have some options and know what's what on the yarn. And one other little thing I wanted to tell you is that after, and it's good to show while I have it on my head, but after you've finished your hat, the brim might seem a little bit small, but what you can do, and also the same type of thing after you've had it packed, whether it's in your bag or through the season. And just to show you real quick too, before I show you what you can do, is, you know, the nice thing about it being wire free and not having any structure in it, but it still maintain its shape. What I do, the cinch tie with beads, so I want to protect those. I just put that in portion in the middle. I take one end and I just simply roll it up. That's it. You pop it in your bag, purse, tote, or even leave one in the glove compartment of your car. And then after it's been stored, just give it a little shake, reshape it. And this is what I do, is I take my hands, you can do it however you want, this seems to work, and I bring my fingers down like I'm making a fist, but not tight all the way, just up, and I grab the ends of my brim, okay, So I grab and roll like this. Here's the hat. Okay, my fingers go into the brim, and then I bring my fingers and my palm together, grab and roll. Not squeezing tight. Alright, just grabbing and rolling. And what you can, that'll give the shape back, so it'll pop back up. Okay, so that's it. Alrighty, I'm going to go to my workstation and we'll get started in just a few minutes.